Welcome back if you've been listening or watching over the last 9 weeks. And if you're new here, welcome to the 3994. Today looks a little different. I'm in my home studio instead of at the Space Between in downtown Savannah. That's where we usually record. But the 3994 is all about connection. And I've said this so many times. Yes, I can sit down in this office with authors and CEOs, startup founders, influential women from across the country, and people doing incredible work on the front lines of our biggest challenges. And I love those conversations. But this is home. My neighbors, your neighbors, the people who walk the same sidewalks, shop at the same stores, they cheer on the same teams that we do. They have stories too, and they have really good stories. Stories that are just as powerful as the ones that I hear from leaders around the world on the daily. So that's where community comes in. When we learn about people around us and when we understand different viewpoints and hear each other's journeys, things shift. Suddenly we can say, oh, Jan, she would have the answer. I can give her a call. She would know what to do. It's knowing the people who call Northwest Missouri home that gives us confidence. And when you know the greatness that exists right next door, right here, when someone needs something or something needs to get done, we get it done together. That is community. I experienced that myself when I went through Leadership Savannah. I met people I probably wouldn't have met otherwise. And after that, I wasn't nearly as intimidated to step out and serve in new ways. Connection builds confidence, and confidence pushes us to act. That's what I hope this show inspires all of us to do. Some weeks, we talk on the podcast about events coming up. Other weeks, it's a small business story or someone's passion for veterans. Or yes, even a little local controversy. But it's always a good place to be. So today it leads us to a student, Joslin Ungles. Jocelyn is a senior at North Andrew who previously attended school at Mountain City. Jocelyn, welcome.
Thanks. I'm so happy to be here.
Oh my gosh, I'm so glad to have you. You are my sweet 17-year-old friend, and you're a senior. Congratulations.
Yes, I'm excited to be out of high school and see what my future holds. So,
I bet. So you live just outside of Skidmore, and you've been a part of a lot of different communities. At North Andrew, you're actually the chapter president of FCCLA and vice president of FFA. Congratulations on that.
thank you.
But you're also an NHS member, and you're involved in FBLA. I mean, Jocelyn, it sounds like you've got it really going on at North Andrew. Have you thought about what's next? Like, are you a little bit nervous about leaving the bubble?
I am, but I'm super excited to see what is outside of Northwest Missouri and just what all I can do because the people here have always supported me. And I think showing them that I can go off and do big things too, and then coming back and helping serve my community again, just how they filled my cup whenever I need it filled and all of that different stuff. I think that's super
Yeah.
important.
Yeah, that's amazing. So again, you grew up in the area, going to North Andrew, very involved in all things. And so what do you think makes North Andrew School specifically such a special place?
I think it's super cool how we're a very rural school. Even normal rural schools in Northwest Missouri, they're still located in a city, and most of those kids live within that city. But North Andrew, like, we pull from so many different places, and I think that is super special because we see different kids experiencing different life, and it's just so incredibly cool to hear everyone's different stories and what community they're from, what is special about that community to them. And honestly, like, even though we're all from different parts of Northwest Missouri and like Rosendale, Balco, Fillmore, all of those different communities, we all still pull together. And honestly, I feel like there's even more connection here than whenever I was at Mound City or whenever I talk to kids from different schools. Like, everyone is so connected and wants to help one another, even though we're all from different places and we have different backgrounds.
Well, how big is your graduating class?
There are 23 in my graduating class, so
So it is a lot different than, say, Savannah, where there's over 200 kids graduating this year. And so
yeah.
you know all 23 of those people, like on an intimate level. You guys have been going to school together for a really long time. And so I can imagine that that is a different kind of feel. I mean, we all know people have gone to small schools and how, I don't know, how the connection is there. But what are you going to miss the most about North Andrew?
Well, so coming from Mound City and not being with these kids, like, since kindergarten, I think it's interesting because the connections that I've built, I have some really great friends that I've made at North Andrew, and I think I'm gonna miss seeing those people every day and just knowing that even though we haven't always been with each other and I haven't always known them, the connections that we've built in the short 2 years that I've been here are incredible, and I am so grateful for that. I don't know what I'm gonna do without them. So, I think that's what I'm gonna miss the most.
I bet. I bet. Those are really strong relationships. So, what is your plan? We haven't even talked. I don't even know what your plan is. What's happening? What's going to happen in May? Do you know yet?
So, I have applied to 3 different schools: Creighton University, Rockhurst University, and Marquette University. I have been accepted to Rockhurst and Creighton, and I'm waiting to hear from Marquette, but once I hear back from them, I will make that decision. I want to major in, exercise science on the pre-occupational therapy track, so yeah.
That's amazing. Well, first of all, congratulations. That's a
Thank
huge
you.
deal when you get those letters. And what makes you want to stay a little bit close to home in this Midwest area?
I think just so my goal has always been to get out of this community and see what else is out there, but I want to stay close because I think my family has always supported me and they have been always they have always been there for me. They've known what to say and they just I want to be able to give back to them. So I want to stay local kind of in the Midwest area even though I'm not super close to home. Just because if something happens, I wanna be able to be there for them. I want to be able to do what they've always done for me. So I think that's super important to me, and then I also just want to be able to still have connections close to the area and always feel like I can come back to serve my community. So
Do you think do you think being part of Leadership Savannah kind of instilled that in you? What was that experience like for you?
So I do think that it instilled part of that in me because honestly, before Leadership Savannah, I wasn't really sure if I did want to come back to the Northwest Missouri area. But I think Leadership Savannah really highlights all of the positive things in Andrew County and in Northwest Missouri as a whole. I mean, as a junior in high school last year, whenever I went through Leadership Savannah, I didn't really appreciate our area as much and I didn't recognize all of the great things that are happening. So I think that I definitely think that Leadership Savannah has impacted my decision to want to come back to this area.
Well, it's interesting because you were one of two high school students that were in our class, both amazing individuals and chosen because of that, and
Mhm.
your leadership. But you were so vulnerable during those times with us. We all had to share a little bit about what makes us unique and what makes us who we are. And you shared what makes you unique and some of the struggles that you've had and some of the challenges that you've had. And I appreciated that conversation so much with you. It gave us an insight into what students are facing. Some of us, we all have our own kids. I have a 16-year-old, you know that, a 14-year-old. You're 17. But when you hear it from the perspective of a student that's not your child, when you hear a student talk about, like, this is what life is like for us, this is what we're going through, these are the pressures that we face. It was fascinating for a lot of us in the room to learn a little bit more about that. And so, what do you think adults are missing when it comes to connecting with young people?
I think it's just sometimes as a young student, we always feel like the adults have so much authority over us and they don't really want to listen to what we have to say. I mean, I see it every day. There's kids that want to speak up and advocate for something that they're passionate about, but they're not willing to because they don't feel comfortable with the adults that they need to talk to. So I think really making those connections and making sure that kids do feel comfortable to start those conversations is super important. And I feel like that's the basis of everything, especially within the education system and different organizations. If we don't have people that are willing to step up and lead as students, then that's a problem. But we're not going to have those people if they don't ever feel comfortable talking to adults. So I think that's
Mhm.
super important to have those people.
That was one thing that you did say during Leadership Savannah at the end. You said, I'm so grateful that I have opened up to get to know adults because that's not something that I was used to. You're not used to getting to know other adults that aren't your family members. And so you were able to share opinions and be vulnerable with us and connect and all of those things, and we were so glad that you did. You and I've talked about just mental health in our community, and we know in rural areas that that's something that not only adults struggle with, but children and teens struggle. There are statistics out even today that show that young people in rural areas are struggling, X amount of times more than those in urban areas with their mental health, whether that be, the everyday pressures of what people are going through or access to care or what have you. What would you say on that topic? Is there a way that we as adults can help our kiddos going through crisis?
So obviously, I'm not a mental health expert, but I feel like it all starts, as we've already talked about, at connection. I mean, building those connections and letting kids feel comfortable with coming to any adult that they're around every day is super important because, I mean, some kids are so happy and so outgoing and positive, but sometimes we miss the things that we should be noticing. And I think just having adults, no matter who it is, that are willing to check in on us and see if we're actually okay and starting that conversation with us is super important because, yes, adults care. We all know adults care, but I think sometimes we don't feel that whenever they're not initiating the conversation or they're not saying hi to us in the hallway or just simple things like that, I think can make a big difference.
Well, I think too, Jocelyn, you're somebody who you always have a smile on your face. And so maybe we wouldn't think to say, hey, Jocelyn, just checking in. How are things going? Because I see your Facebook, right? And I think, oh, or I see you on the TikTok or on the Snapchat. And I see, oh, she's so happy. She's doing so great. You have a smile on your face. But I think maybe the lesson there is check in because that smile, there can be a lot of things hidden behind that smile.
Yes, and I
So,
just think if we start those simple conversations now, then it's crazy to me to think about how deep those conversations can get the more we build that connection. And sometimes that's when we're willing to be the most vulnerable is with the people that do make the effort to check in on us daily and make sure that we're actually doing okay. So
do
I think
you
that
have do you have someone, Jocelyn, in your life in North Andrew, like a mentor or somebody that you can look to and go to?
yes, I have multiple people that I feel more than comfortable with talking to. Obviously, Mrs. Owens, our school counselor, she's great and she is so positive and always willing to talk to anyone and just loving. And then Mrs. White, our high school math teacher, she is teaching me calculus right now, and I'm the only one in the class, so her and I have gotten super close. And just she is always willing to take a break away from math and talk about whatever I need to talk about, and I think that is super special, having that connection. And then 3rd, Mrs. Harrison, she's our FACS teacher and FCCLA advisor, and she is amazing. Everyone, at least I guess maybe not everyone, I've known her for a really long time, so I think of her as my grandma, and I think just having those people in school is wonderful.
That is so special. And I think that's something that makes the rural communities so special is because in these smaller schools, you can have a class of 23 kids and make those great connections with teachers and staff. Mrs. Wheeler, of course, is one we've got to give a shout out to. She was one of 12 finalists for this $50,000 classroom furniture grant. And unfortunately, we know that she didn't win the giveaway on ki.com, that grand prize after a lot of voting. What did you know about that was happening at school?
So I actually didn't learn about it until she had sent an email out and she was like, "Guys, I need you all to vote. Like, vote now on your Chromebook and then vote later at home on your phone and all of these different things." But I think it's super cool that she's willing to put that much effort into our library to make sure that kids have access to great resources and just instilling the love of reading into every kid here. I think that is amazing. And she does great in the library. I mean, you always walk in there and it is so comforting and just you feel like you're at home whenever you go in there, and she always has a smile on her face. So it's really sad that she didn't win, but I think still recognizing all of the effort that she put into that and puts into the library every single day is important.
Well, that is one of my questions for you is what do you think the library needs and what do you think we can do to help her get the things that she needs?
So honest, but just from hearing other kids talk, I think just better, like, furniture and places for kids to study, read, work, whatever, and then also technology. I think we can do a lot with technology, but our library doesn't really have a ton of technology, so I think that would be a positive change. I think the community in general just donating and also just making sure that Mrs. Wheeler knows how appreciated she is because I don't think that we'll recognize that enough and show her that appreciation, so
Mrs. Wheeler, one of a kind, and hopefully we can figure out, some way to get her the things that she needs in that library there at school. All right. Well, FCCLA has an event this weekend, so tell me all about it. What do we have coming up?
yes, so our biggest annual fundraiser, Christmas in November, it's super fun, even though it is a ton of work to plan. Um, so it's pretty much a huge craft show, and we have about 70 vendors this year, which is a ton. Both of our gyms are packed with vendors, and well, and FCCLA will be serving pulled pork sandwiches and nachos for lunch. So even if you don't want to come check out craft shows, you can support FCCLA by coming and buying lunch. Um, Santa will be here for free pictures from 10 to 12. So if you have young kids, that's a great opportunity for free pictures with Santa. I think that's super exciting and a great thing.
And it's your main fundraiser, right?
Yeah, so it is our main fundraiser, and all of the money that we get from Christmas in November goes to supporting competitive events participants, along with all of the community service that do. Anything that we have to buy in order to do that community service, that money goes towards that, along with any conferences that we attend, whether that's regional conference, state, or national, anything that's what that money goes towards. So I think it's super important for people to understand that all of that money is going back to us kids, the people that are putting in the work. So I think it's a great fundraiser and it's honestly a ton of fun, even though it is a ton of work. And Mrs. Harrison and Mrs. Ungles, she puts a ton of work in every, like, they've been working so hard on it this week. And it amazes me how much Christmas in November has grown and also just how much work goes into it. Like, I don't think everyone understands how hard it is to organize and plan and make sure that everyone is in the right spot at the right time and all of the different details. So,
Now, Jocelyn, I didn't ask you about Mrs. Ungles. Are you guys related?
yes, so she's my mom, but she's also the high school science teacher here at North Andrew. So,
You're like, yes, she's my mom.
yeah.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. How has it been all these years going to school with mom as your teacher?
I mean, some days I love it and other days I'm like, can we just have some space away from each other? But I think she feels the same way, so she wouldn't be mad at me for saying that.
Oh my gosh. I'm sure,
So
I'm sure. Hey, I
yeah.
didn't get to ask you about, why you chose the major that you have for college.
Yes, so seeing my grandparents go to the hospital multiple times for multiple different things, they've had to work with occupational therapists. I don't even know how many times. Like, my grandma has been to the hospital numerous times and has had to work with an occupational therapist almost every time. So I think just seeing the difference that they've made in my grandma's life, and also, like, whenever I've done job shadowing and just seeing everything that they do and the different aspects of our lives that it can affect and benefit is amazing to me. So I really just want to give back. And I've always been interested in the medical field, but I learned whenever I was in like elementary, middle school that I cannot handle veins. So nursing was completely out of the question for me. Um, so that put me looking into physical and occupational therapy. And honestly, occupational therapy just, it seems more interesting and grabs my attention a lot more than physical therapy really ever has, even though I've gone through physical therapy. So,
Yeah. I love
yeah.
that you're inspired because of your grandparents and seeing the improvement that was made just by simple exercises and helping them through that therapy. So, when you come back, because I know that you intend to come back to Andrew County, what do you envision that looking like? You go away to school, you come home. What does that picture look like for you?
Honestly, I'm not really sure yet, but my dream career is to work in a children's hospital working with children as an occupational therapist. So ideally, I would love to start out at like a smaller hospital like Mosaic or the hospital in Fairfax, um, and just getting experience and helping people that we see every day in that aspect. And then eventually, hopefully, going to more.
Yeah, being the next children's mercy, occupational therapist. I can see it, I can see it. Now we'll have to ask that you drive every day because 'cause we'll want you to still live here. What do you think is great about our community that makes you and draws you with that feeling of, like, "Someday I would like to come back and serve in this area." What is it that draws you to that conclusion?
I think there are just so many people in small communities in general that they mean well and they want to help everyone around them. But more importantly, within all of the surrounding counties that I am involved with every day, um, I see people that are genuinely trying to improve the future. They want to build a good foundation for those of us that are just now going into the real world. And I think that is amazing. So, especially in like Andrew County at Leadership Savannah, we discussed how many small businesses there are in Andrew County, and there are some amazing entrepreneurs and opportunities to grow our community even more right now. So, I think that that is super special to this area, and I don't think you see that everywhere. So, I that really draws me because I have hope for the future here because of what you guys are doing right now.
Oh, well, I love that, Jocelyn. Well, you inspired us. I mean, you inspire all of us. So to work hard for the community. And so, one question I wanted to ask you before we go today was what other things do you do in the community that I don't know about? We've talked about the things that you do at school. What other things in other areas of Northwest Missouri are you involved in?
Yes, so I'm super involved in Scouts. I'm also part of Order of the Arrow through Scouts, which is S- Scouting America's National Honor Society program, and as well as Mikase, which is through Camp Geiger, which a lot of people know about. It's great. Um, But in addition to that, I'm also involved in like at Mound City. I still help with Flowers Fit for a King, which a lot of people don't know about, but it's a program that we water the flowers along Main Street each summer, and then depending on how much time we put in to the program, they give us a scholarship whenever we graduate. So I think that is super great for all of us that we want our community to be pretty, and that's an easy way to just give back and help our community out.
I love that. So you water the flowers along Main Street in Mound City, and then
Yes.
you do that all summer, and then you
Yes.
guys receive a scholarship if you're a senior?
Yeah. So,
It's that
it's
simple?
yeah, it's pretty
That's
awesome.
amazing.
And
That's
then also
amazing.
also, I'm involved in Girl Scouts. I focus on Boy Scouts more. Well, what used to
Mhm.
be Boy Scouts, Scouting America.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I'm involved in both of those organizations and Order of the Arrow and Mikasay. And yeah.
A lot of us are familiar with Mikasay, but we don't really maybe know that much about it. Can you explain to us what that is?
Yeah, so it's Camp Geiger's Honor Society, and it focuses on making boys and girls into men and women that are going to serve our society well in the future.
Is there anything that we didn't talk about today, Jocelyn, that you want to mention or that you thought maybe we'd talk about and we didn't?
Think it's just great that you're helping highlight the organizations within North Andrew, especially because sometimes I think Savannah is so much bigger and better that people in Andrew County forget about North Andrew. So I think it is great that you're doing this today. So thank you so much.
Oh my goodness. Thank you, Jocelyn. You're one of my favorite people, and I just had to talk to you. So I'm really glad that we got a chance to catch up. We're so proud of you. We hope you have a great rest of your senior year. I have no doubt that you're going to do amazing things. Your leadership is unparalleled, and we're really just lucky to have you be a member of our community. So we're really proud of you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Well, we want to thank Jocelyn for joining us today. We want to thank all of you for spending part of your week with us. A special thank you to our sponsors who continue to invest in local voices and local stories. Our newest sponsor is Scooters Coffee. Thank you so much. Greater Than Financial and the Space Between, we couldn't do this without you. Gina's Cafe in Cosby. Gina, you've been there. We appreciate your sponsorship. Sweet Storage with locations in Savannah. Jason Sarsney of Edward Jones, the Bunker Club, of course, right there on the Savannah Square, and North Central Missouri College, both the Trenton and Savannah campuses. We also want to thank United Fiber. You know them. They have their ultra high speed broadband services. We are appreciative of their sponsorship. If you're listening on Apple, Spotify, or watching on YouTube, please take a moment to subscribe and leave a review. It helps more people in our community find the show. This has been the 3994 for Thursday. Until next time.